Hello and welcome to Spell Valley. My name is Connor, and today we're going to talk about the new balance update for Spell Valley. I know we've had a few of you in the YouTube comments saying, man, can you make a video about the meta, about what decks are good, what decks are not? And I think this video will be somewhat satisfying in the sense that it is about what decks used to be good and will no longer be good after this update. Now, in some ways, I can't do a video about the meta and what decks are good and what decks you would play because, to a large extent, I don't know, right? There are currently, now we're up to 53 heroes in Spell Valley. That means there are millions of possible decks you can make, and there are just too many possibilities. Many of the best strategies probably have never been tried by anyone still. And that means that I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and, start making changes and buffing things and nerfing things willy-nilly before we really know what's going on. And for that reason, I've been kind of delicate with the balance changes over the last couple months. But we now have a lot of players in the Discord. We've got a pretty active community. We've got a lot of discussion about what's good and what's not. We have some preliminary data coming in about what heroes players are using and which ones they're not. And I think we're at a point now where we can talk about some, a small but significant set of changes that will affect the game for the better. This is not about making every hero good. It's not about making every deck good. It's really about preventing the things that are most clearly broken, that if we just think about them logically, can't really be in the game and or can't really be part of a balanced, healthy metagame. So to illustrate that point, I'm going to introduce a new concept. And that concept is called reach. Or I'm calling it reach. This is probably a bad name because reach implies space, and this is actually a sort of measure of time. But the question I'm asking is, if you summon a hero, how quickly can they affect the hexes on your opponent's side of the board? If the opponent can summon into, you can summon in the 6 hexes next to your towers, and so can the opponent. And so the question is, if I summon a giant, how quickly can I threaten the opponent's hexes? If the opponent summons some heroes, on turn 2, the giant can move forward. On turn 3, it can move forward again. And on turn 4, they can hit a hero. But the giant can only hit heroes in front of the outside towers on turn 4. Because the outside towers are 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from each other. And the inside towers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces away from each other. So it takes the giant 4 turns to hit the outside hexes. But if he wants to hit the inside hexes, he would have needed to move on this turn, and then on turn 5, he'd be hitting the inside hexes. If he wanted to hit this hex in between the 7 and 6 towers, which I like to call the pocket, that would take another turn as well. So you really have 3 kinds of hexes. Each team has 6 hexes that they can summon on, but those fall into 3 groups. There's the outside hexes that are closest to your opponents, the 3 inside hexes, which are in the middle, and the pocket, which is the furthest away. It's the safest place you can put a hero. So the giant reaches the outside hexes in 4 turns, the inside hexes in 5, and the pocket in 6. If we summon, if we go back to the beginning real quickly, and we summon a knight on turn 1, then on turn 2, he can be here. On turn 3, he can be here. And on turn 4, he can be attacking. So I guess if we had summoned him here, it would take him 3 turns to reach this hex, and it takes him 4 turns to hit the inside hexes. So he gets there 1 turn faster because he has a speed of 2. He's faster than the giant. Similarly, the archer, because it has a range of 2, you could summon the archer on turn 1, move her on turn 2, and then attack on turn 3. And if you wanted to reach the inside hexes, it would take 4 turns. So I've got a little chart over here on the right that just where I've just written down the time it takes, the turn on which these heroes can reach the the outside hexes, the inside hexes, and the pocket, respectively. And I'm not going to go through all of them here, but you can get a sense, and you can download the game right now on both the app stores. You can see for yourself, okay, well, where are these, how long does it take for different heroes to cross the board? Now, I think that of these, the inside hexes are the most important, right? Because the inside hexes are, half of the hexes you can summon your heroes on. If the giant can reach the inside hexes on turn 5 and the outside hexes on turn 4, then you have to be ready to deal with the giant by turn 5. If you can't, he's going to be on top of you and attacking you, and there won't be anywhere to run. You can put one hero in the pocket, but you can't put them all in the pocket. So when it comes to reach, if there's one value that really epitomizes a character's reach, it's the inside reach. It's how long it takes them to reach these inside hexes. Now, for a hero like Bandit, that's effective range 3, right? Here we can go back to the beginning. For a hero like Bandit with effective range 3, he can reach the outside hexes and attack them on turn 2. And on turn 3, they can reach all the way to the pocket or the inside hexes. So the inside reach of the Bandit is going to be 3, and the outside reach is 2. So that means that, if you're the opponent and you have... We'll go back to the beginning again. The Bandit gets summoned on turn 1. You have a turn to summon a hero, summon your heroes in response. You have a turn to move and maybe attack with those heroes, prevent the Bandit from stepping forward. And then on turn 3, that's when you have to deal with the Bandit at the absolute earliest, if you can't keep him back. So that gives you a turn to summon and a turn to react. But suppose I play a Sky Ranger on turn 1. The Sky Ranger has flying, charge, and range 2. It's the only hero in the game at the moment with an effective range of 4, which means that the Sky Ranger can attack hexes that are 4 away from it by flying, and then in the same turn attacking with a range of 2, right? And that means that the Sky Ranger is the only hero in the game at the moment with an inside reach of 2, which means you have time to summon a hero, and that's it. They're dead. This is not fair. This is too little counterplay. And it's not going to be fun if the opponent having a Sky Ranger just means, you can't play any hero that has low health, because there's lots of heroes that only have 3 or 4 health, and the Sky Ranger will just snipe them. I find that this situation is unfun, and it leads to very little counterplay. So the Sky Ranger is obviously, that's one hero we'll be looking at. But there are other heroes we'll be looking at too. So, for example, the Wind Mage causes all sorts of similar problems. If you have a Wind Mage at level 5, then she can enable even effective range 3 heroes to hit the inside hexes on turn 2. Same problem as the Sky Ranger. Because now the Bandit, can't quite reach, but the Wind Mage at a high level has a 1-mana spell which pushes the Bandit. So the Bandit can be pushed, and then there he is, right? It's the same problem you have with the Sky Ranger. So this, I think, is similarly unfair. And this logic applies to mana heroes as well. So like a Mage, right? The Mage, their inside reach is 3, because the first turn you summon them, and then the next turn they have 1 mana, and the next turn they have 2 mana, and they can cast their spell. So on turn 3, the Mage can threaten the inside hexes, right? But that's good, we're in the clear, because it's only 3. But we have a new hero that we released, called the Apprentice, that's very strong. And the Apprentice gives mana to adjacent heroes. And if you play the Apprentice at level 5, it's just like the Wind Mage problem. Now the Apprentice can give the Mage an extra mana, and now the Mage is threatening the inside hexes on turn 2. And I submit that all of this is too powerful, that there is just not enough counterplay to turn 2 timing attacks, and Therefore, we have to do something about it. And that's really what this balance update is honed in on. There's a few other things that I'll discuss in detail, but this is the primary motivation for these sorts of changes. I want to limit these turn 2 timing attacks, and then we can see, what's good and what's bad and what rises to the top, because this is going to really shake up the metagame, and it's going to change our perceptions of what heroes are good and what heroes are bad. All right. So give me a second, and I will get the balance changes in. All right, so first we're going to talk about the Wind Mage. What's changed? We want to prevent the Wind Mage from allowing turn 2 timing attacks. So that means that when they have only one, when the Wind Mage has a mana cost of 1, we're going to pair that with negative starting mana. So that actually the earliest the mana cost of 1 can hit is on turn 2. Or on turn 3, right? When other heroes would have 2 mana. And then from that point on, the Wind Mage can continue to use Gust every single turn, like she does now. So what's changed here? Well, for one, we've rebalanced the mana cost. So instead of scaling from 3 to 1 at level 4, it's scaling from 3 to 1 at level 5. Additionally, we added starting mana, negative starting mana, when the mana cost goes down to help compensate. So on turn at level 2, she's going to have negative 1 starting mana, which means her first Gust is going to be on this, at the same timing as when she's level 1. But she's going to be able to Gust more often after that. Additionally, I rebalanced the health. So she gets a mana cost down and a starting mana down on level 2. She gets a starting mana back at level 3. She gets a little more health at level 4. And she gets the lower mana cost and lower starting mana at level 5 to keep things balanced. I think this will do a good job of preventing some of these turn 2 kill decks. She can still do some pretty powerful stuff on the early turns at a high level, but it's not going to be quite as broken as it is currently. With the Apprentice, I did literally the same thing. Same exact stat changes, basically. Same profile as the Wind Mage, same health, same starting mana, same mana cost, but she gives mana instead of pushing heroes around. And so she would be really, instead of enabling the Mage to engage in a turn 2 timing attack, the earliest she can enable something is on turn 3 rather, because she has the negative starting mana as well. So it's the same idea here. Both these heroes are now, I think still good, but you have to have a really clear plan to take advantage of what makes them so powerful. Now, I mentioned Sky Ranger before. This is a little bit of also an unorthodox change, but I want to try it. If effective range 4 heroes are going to be in the game, then they're going to allow these turn 2 timing attacks unless we do something about it. So I want to try with Sky Ranger is to actually start her off stunned. So Sky Ranger now will be won't be actionable until the 3rd turn anyway. You play her with stun 2, the following turn she has stun 1, and the turn after that she can move. So on turn 3, she'll be able to attack at effective range 4, but not at effective range 2. And so now if we consult our chart, these numbers here will say 3, and this number will say 4. And that will be much more comparable to the other heroes that we have here. So I didn't give her any buffs to compensate. The hero's already really good. It may be that this makes her much worse and she needs some help to compensate. We'll see. The goal of these changes isn't to get these heroes perfectly dialed, but to rework them to eliminate the most broken strategies so that we can then balance them on top of that. So hopefully having her start stunned is a sort of reasonable way to balance things. So we'll see. The 4th hero in the balance changes here, there are 12 total, but the 4th hero is the Wizard. Now, everyone loves the Wizard. The Wizard is a very popular hero. I'm sorry if the Wizard is your favorite hero. He's getting a little bit of a nerf. The truth is that the Wizard deals damage in a line, and he deals damage to all heroes and towers in a line. But the cost is that it comes instead of moving or attacking. And that means that Wizard is really good with any hero that can move him around and allow him to still use his magic beam. So with the Wind Mage, for example, as well as many other heroes, which we'll talk about in a bit. And this I found to just be too powerful and too oppressive. I think there's a place for the wizard. I want the wizard to be good. He's a cool hero. He's very satisfying to use, but he was just giving too much payoff to players for setting up, cheap and easy combos with him, often in the very early turns of the game. And even if those combos weren't landing, literally on the second turn, although they could with the Apprentice, they were landing fast enough that I think this is a bit of a problem. So I decided to go this route, reducing spell damage by 1 and health by 1 across the board. Little bit of a change to each of these, which I think will make the cost benefit of using the wizard a little more reasonable. And we'll have to see how it plays out in practice with all the other changes. Moving on, I want to talk about big spells. So there are some spells that are just so good they win you the game. They're I win spells. And that's intentional, that there should be, the game's called Spell Valley. There have to be awesome spells that you can cast that win you the game. And one of those is Enchant. The Enchantress lets you take control of your opponent's heroes, which feels awesome. It's really great. It's a really powerful effect. As it is in basically every game that has a mind control mechanic of one sort or another. And the Enchantress previously could enchant on turn 4. And this was just too early. It's too much pressure. It was too hard. Your giant hasn't even crossed the board and she's enchanting it, and I found this to be a little bit oppressive. And even though it's not hitting on turn 2, it's still just too powerful. So I've increased the mana cost to 5, so that these kind of big I win spells don't happen so quickly. I did the same thing to Wind Archer, push all enemies in a direction. This is a very powerful spell. It can be game winning in and of itself. And so I bumped this up from 4 to 5. And similarly, and I also gave her some more attack to compensate. The Yeti and the Avenger, I also count as having, these are big spells. These are big displacement spells. Yeti, throw an adjacent hero to a hex within 2. The Avenger can swap places with heroes that are very far away. And so with the Yeti, what I did was I said, okay, we're going to, increase, or it used to be that at level 5, his mana cost went down to 3. I think that's just too good. And so now instead, we're just going to keep scaling attack and health, and the earliest you can throw is on turn 4. Okay, actually I had a little typo on the Avenger. The Avenger is staying at a mana cost of 3, but he's now going to have -1 starting mana across the board. And that means that the first swap is going to have to happen on turn 5, not on turn 4, like it was before. And to compensate, I gave him 2 more health, so he'll be able to stay on the board longer. I'm not sure where this leaves the hero. It's like it's a hard hero for me to think about what makes it good, what makes it bad, what are the effects of a margin, how much does a marginal attack mean for the Avenger? Pretty hard to say. So I don't know where this will shake out, but I figure it's better to limit kind of the most broken strat, like the big spells that we're hitting too quickly. We're going to pull them back, and then we can reevaluate and see, okay, how good is this hero after that change? Now that's 8 of the heroes. I want to talk about 4 more. 2 of these heroes are squad heroes, the Troll Twins and the Axe-Sisters. These are popular heroes. You get 2 of them. They're pretty strong. They're chonky. They have a lot of health. And I think they just had a little too much health. So with the Troll Twins, I'm decreasing the health by 1 across the board. Not a huge change, but it's going to matter. And I think it's going to make the Troll Twins just a little bit worse. I think they're a little too strong at the moment. And then the Axe-Sisters, they used to go to 8 health at level 3. Now they go to 7. Getting 2 health doesn't sound like a lot, but when you have 2 of them, it's actually 4 extra health. So this was already a big jump at level 3. And it just felt like a little too much. So they're now going to cap out at 7 health. So that's 10 nerfs. I know it's a pretty nerf heavy patch. And the reason for that is that, again, it's mostly about mitigating the most broken strategies, so that those are not in the way and that we can see, how powerful other heroes are. So the last 2 changes here are to the Wind Warrior. He just got a little more attack and a little more health. Before, this used to say 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. So it capped out at 4. Now it caps out at 5. And he's got a little more health as well. I don't see a lot of this hero. I think this hero is a lot of fun, so I wanted to give it a little buff. And then Lastly, we have the healer. This was, changes requested by the players. There's a lot of lively discussion in the Discord. Hey, can we change the cast range? Can we have the amount of healing change based on how far away the heroes are? Can we, maybe it's healing over time or an AoE heal, or lots of good ideas. Ultimately, this is what I went with. I want to see how this works. Basically, I added max mana to the character so that now instead of, only getting the 1 mana per turn, and that's it, you can now store up mana for a few turns and have a bigger burst of heal. I think this is, one of the main ways the hero scales, so that a level 5 healer, she can stock up that healing for longer and release it all at once. And I think that's more interesting than just giving her higher kind of flat healing per turn, because a lot of times you actually don't need, a lot of times your heroes haven't taken damage yet and you don't need the healing. And so it's kind of wasted. But now, if you don't need the healing, at least for a turn or two, you can save it up and use it later. So I rebalanced her health, rebalanced the healing, and changed the max mana. And I think this will be more interesting. I'm not sure how good it is. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what good, if anyone can make a really good healer deck work. But I think this is more interesting and compelling. And we'll have to see how it goes. So those are the 12 changes. We've got really, heroes that are hitting too quickly, or enabling other heroes to hit too quickly. We've got the wizard, who is just giving a little too much payoff for displacement, for moving him around. We've got 4 big spells that I thought were just a little too threatening, happening a little too quickly. And then, 2 squad heroes that lost a bit of health, and 2 little buffs. And that's our balance patch. So, it's 12 heroes out of 53, but this really changes a lot of things, including many of the most oppressive strategies that were all about hitting quickly on turn 2. I'm really excited to see how this changes the metagame. And I appreciate you all for following along. So thank you very much. You have a good rest of your day. Download the game, join the Discord. You can give your feedback on the balance changes there, find strategies that you think are, especially good that, maybe you can break them in the next. So appreciate your time, and take care out there.